We come into this world unknown, but know that we are not alone.
So, I woke up this morning and I just felt like I had to get this off my chest, and I didn't know how to do it without my creativity. I needed to use music, lyrics, video. I had to do something. I have had a really rough year, and I just want to be able to tell my story on how it's been for me to be living with HIV, and hopefully I can help someone who needs guidance, or help explain to my friends, why I am, sometimes I'm down and sometimes I feel lonely, and hopefully this will help you see into the real Mikey Bessette. I found out I was HIV positive in December of 2011, and it's been a year and a couple months, and it has been so difficult, from dating to friendships to family. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. I have quite the story. So when I moved to Massachusetts, I met someone and we started dating, and in November he asked to go get tested, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, sure, yeah, blew it off. Then December came and he was like, we have to go, I want to go. So he made the appointment, it was free, we went. I remember sitting at the doctor's office scared. I remember asking him to just go back home. Part of me, I didn't know, but I was scared to know. I knew that I'm human, and I know that I make mistakes, and I know that I shouldn't have done a couple of things that I've done in my life. And not saying that I regret it, but I regret it. I sat there at the doctor's office. I went first. As Adam, my partner, waited outside, I did the blood work. She did the prick of the finger, and she asked her routine questions, how many people have you been with? Have you had unprotected sex? All those questions, it's like a 30-minute questionnaire that they ask you. And by the end of the 30 minutes, she looked at the results, and she looked at me with this blank face, and she was like, are you sure you have no idea, because it's coming back reactive? And at that point, I remember tears streaming down my face, because I was scared, because I had this man outside the door that I was in love with, and it's taken me, a couple years to find this man that I was head over heels for, and he came here to, hopefully we could leave here as a closer couple, and to be able to you know, start a family, or, you know, whatever the case in my head I was thinking at the time. I was scared that I was going to lose him. I was freaking out. And she asked if any members of my family had lupus. And I remember that my grandfather, he passed away, and he had lupus. So I had that little shimmer of hope for it to be that. I was thinking, okay, well, if I have anything, I would rather have lupus than HIV. That's so dysfunctional, I know. And she invited him into the room, and I'm bawling my eyes out, and he already knew. But he held my hand, and he held me, and he said, "It's gonna be fine. I still love you." And I felt okay because I knew I wasn't alone, but I felt scared because I knew that my whole life I would have to change everything. And as it was his turn to get tested, I just sat there with a blank face. I felt empty. I felt like a shell. I was shaking. I didn't have anything to say. I was freaking out. I didn't know how my family was going to react. I felt sad because my sisters were going to wring my neck. And I knew that I disappointed them. You know, being gay is one thing, but being gay with HIV is like stereotypical. Like, I don't want to be a stereotype. And I wanted to prove them wrong, that I could have a healthy life and that I would have a normal life. I've always been different. And I just feel like now I'm very different. I always felt like I was kind of like Superman because I never got sick. I never had a broken bone. I never went to the hospital. I never had the flu. I never felt sick. I never had anything. And I've always felt like I was indestructible. And so for me to get this news, I felt defeated. And I felt like I was in a despair. And I just felt like I didn't have anybody. I felt alone. After we, you know, a couple weeks went by, and I remember I was sitting in the car with my sisters, Jessica and Amanda, in the car waiting for my niece and nephew to get out of dance class. And I kind of just blurted it out, like, I came back reactive and I'm scared. And they were like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "I go back for, you know, blood work and we'll see." And as I walked away, my sister Amanda pulled my arm and she was crying and she's like, "I'm really scared for you." And I told her that it's okay, that we've been through a lot and that we're gonna get through this too. We have to, there's no other option. And another couple weeks went by and we were out, my partner, my sister and we went out and we met up with my mom. And we were drinking and it was fun and it was fine. And I just remember, like, the room was silent, and it was just like, it wasn't silent. The room was loud. It was loud. It was a bar. I mean, it was a loud bar, but I felt like it was silent, like it was just me and my mom, and I was just looking at her crying, and I told her, "Mom, I have to tell you something." And I remember seeing past her shoulder my sister Amanda looking at me, and I had Adam's hand. He was squeezing my hand because he knew that I was about to tell her. And when I told her, she gave me a huge hug, and she's like, "It's okay. It's not a death sentence. We still love you. We're here for you." And as, you know, a relief came over me, I felt like, whew. Because I was scared. I was scared of being rejected. I'm always scared of rejection. I don't want to be rejected. Who wants to be rejected? So we got another drink, and then I remember my sister saying, "Okay, now you have to tell Dad." I was like, "Are you kidding? Like, in one night? Like, all in once?" And she's like, "You have to do it. Just do it." So she told me that I had to go tell my dad. And I tried to call him, and he didn't answer the phone. So we went over there. We were around the corner. So we went to the house, and we woke him up, and he was freaking out. He was like, "What's happening? What's going on?" He thought there's a burglar or something happened, someone died, I don't know. But I told him I was crying, and he was just like, "It's okay. It's alright, I love you, you're my son." And finally, like, all this, like, heavy pressure that I was feeling lifted. It was gone. And he told me to make sure that I keep myself healthy and that I do what I need to do to make sure that I live a happy life. And that was that. This was December, about December, maybe January, and this time it was January. And by February, Adam got really sick. He recently got a different job, and I thought it was like the stress of like him leaving one job, going to the other. He couldn't get out of bed. Like, he was cold to the touch, but his body was burning up. But he felt cold, but he was hot. He had like 101-degree temperature. And the only way that he could feel, you know, warm was to take a really hot shower, and he would literally lay in the bath. I remember us laying there in the bathtub just with a hot shower, and like even like touching his arm, like he would feel ill. And they call that acute HIV syndrome. He thought he had the flu. We didn't know what was wrong with him. We went to the doctors like multiple times, and he got tested again, and he came back positive. And to this day, like, I still feel as if I'm some kind of a monster, because the man that I love, the guy that I was supposed to protect, I hurt him in the worst way possible. And I know it takes two to tango, and I get all that. But I felt like if I had known ahead of time, then I could have protected him, and I would always protect him, and I don't wish anyone any harm, ever. I would never wish this on anybody. And I remember when he found out, he was just upset, and he was freaking out because we had to do it all over again. We had to tell his mom and his dad, and his friends had to know, and you know, I'm not even there yet to tell all my friends, and every day is a learning process. Um, and I think he was scared. And I think it was too much for him to handle, and we ended up breaking up. He was there for me, and I wasn't able to be there for him. And I regret letting him slip away. Like, I felt like it was like sand through your hands. Like, it just happened, like, it fast. And I mean, to this day, I love him. I'll always love him. And I think that we have a bond that, whatever the bond is, it's there. And I always thought that it would maybe even bring us closer together, but I think it was too much all at once. It was like a matter of 2 months, all at once, it was too much for anyone to handle. And he couldn't handle it, and we broke up, and for the past year, you know, it's been on and off, and I think that relationships are hard. I think that friendships are hard. The medication I'm on a triplet, and, you know, even like trying to balance like going out with your friends and not telling anybody, you know, depression and all these things that are happening to your body all at once. I was like really trying to hide it, and I was drinking, and I was like doing my pill at night, and I was throwing up, and I was just like, my body wasn't handling the pill, you know, it wasn't handling it very well. It was a lot of change, and I was trying to still maintain my friendships along with, you know, trying to stay healthy, but also trying to balance like going out and like having fun, trying to stay sane, because I was going through a breakup and all this stuff, and I felt alone. I know that relationships are going to be difficult, and I know that telling friends is difficult, and that's why I'm making this video, is because I want the closest people around me to know that I'm not scared any longer. It's taken me so long to get to this point in my life to come to terms with it. Like, it's not a death sentence, I know that. It's just been very difficult because I worry about others' opinions, and I want people to know that I'm the same person that I was, and I'll always be the same person that I am. And I hope one day I can find a relationship with somebody that they will, you know, love me for me, and whether they're positive, negative, I just know that hopeless romantic in me is looking for that ever after love, and hopefully he's out there looking for me.